Okay, good morning, everyone. I believe we're beginning the Finance Committee meeting, and I'm going to turn to Kevin Taylor Robeson.
Thank you, Chair Penley. The Arizona Board of Regents Finance, Capital, and Resources Committee is called to order. We're going to start off our day in executive session for legal advice, discussion, and direction to designated representatives regarding the items on the executive session agenda. And once the executive session is over, we will reconvene for the public session agenda. We have a packed agenda today. We have limited time to get through everything, so I would ask the move as quickly as possible. Do I have a motion to convene an executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? We are now in executive. Thank you. We're now reconvening the public session of the Finance, Capital, and Resources Committee, and I would like to ask staff to confirm that we have a quorum.
We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Lorenzo. We have a full agenda today, which includes the following action-only items. The review of 4 coaching contracts, of which 3 are for ASU and 1 is for the University of Arizona. Review of ASU's capital development plan, a review of 2 ASU property acquisitions, and a review of an amendment to the board's cash balance pension plan. And I would like to note that while my interest is remote, I will plan to recuse myself from any discussion or consideration or action related to the Mesa City Center project in the ASU capital development plan out of abundance of caution and to avoid any perception of a conflict of interest. It's my understanding that Regent King will also be recusing herself from this item.
That is correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent King. And please remember that only members of the committee can provide a second to a motion and can vote on a motion. So item number 1 is approval of our minutes. First order of business is approval of the minutes from our prior meeting. Are there any questions or comments related to the minutes? Seeing none, I move the committee approve the minutes from the November 5th, 2020 Finance, Capital, and Resources Committee meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Item number 2 is a review of ASU's employment contract extension for Vice President of University Athletics. Dr. Crow.
So thank you. I just had to find the unmute button. So thank you, Regent Taylor Robeson, and we're very excited to advance to the board for consideration the renewal until death is our contract for Ray Anderson. That's our level of commitment to him and his level of commitment to us. A new and revised contract extension. The terms have been reviewed in executive session by the regents, but what's most exciting here is that Vice President Anderson has done an extremely effective job modernizing, enhancing the quality of all aspects of ASU athletics. So the fantastic record academic performance of our athletes, the achievement of our athletes, the graduation rates of our athletes, the athletic successes of our athletes, the new teams that have been added, the national championships that have been won, the coaches that have been hired, and their success in the totality of what we're doing. The renovation of Sun Devil Stadium, the record fundraising for our athletic programs, the emergence, I think, of ASU as a modern, truly committed to the student athlete college athletics program. So we're looking to extend his contract for 5 years. The terms have been reviewed, and we're very excited about this extension.
Thank you, Dr. Crow. Do I have any comments or questions from members of the board? I don't see any hands raised. I would just say, just publicly, Ray's success at ASU, not only in the area of athletics, but the academic performance and successes that we've seen under his leadership is commendable. In addition, the competitive environment out there, as we understand it, is pretty robust. And so to be able to keep him, I think is a top priority for us. And I support this extension under the terms that have been presented to us. So I would like to move that the committee forward to the full board for approval Arizona State University's request to extend the multiple year employment contract for Raymond Anderson as the Vice President for University Athletics, as presented in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3 is the review of the ASU employment contract extension for the head baseball coach.
Yes, thank you. So we are advancing for an extension. Tracy Smith, who is now leading the venerable ASU Sun Devil baseball team. We've been in a multi-year rebuilding effort, and Tracy has led us through that effort. And it is the feeling of Vice President Anderson and myself that he is ready to be extended, has created the right trajectory, the right environment, the right success for our athletes. I will say, and I see Dave Hickey here, baseball is a tough sport, particularly if you're running a top program, because you have so many student athletes that are recruited away into the pros in the middle of your team building activities. And so this has been a very, very challenging complexity. It also is the case that, and I don't understand why the NCAA does this, and Major League Baseball, they allow the athletes to be recruited and the announcement of that recruitment right before the World Series. The College World Series, then creating a situation where those student athletes not selected want to make sure that they take out the next pitcher for the Cubs or the next first baseman for the Cleveland Indians, and it's just a very weird dynamic. And Coach Smith has done a great job advancing our program, and we're ready to extend his contract.
Thank you, Dr. Crow. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move that the committee forward to the full board for approval Arizona State University's request to extend the multiple year employment contract for Tracy Smith as head basketball coach as presented in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 4 is a request from Arizona State University to review an extension of the multiple year employment contract for Charlie Turner Thorne as the head women's basketball coach. Morgan Olson will present this item, I believe.
I'm ready to present it.
Okay,
Yep.
Dr. Crow.
So thank you. So we are looking to extend Coach Turner Thorne's contract. She's been our head coach for more than 20 years. She's one of the most successful coaches in collegiate women's basketball. She is a powerhouse leader within our athletic program. All of our women athletes graduate. They all go on to become jet pilots or brain surgeons or leaders of the free world or the galactic empires. I mean, this is the kind of athletes that she has. And so we're looking to extend her contract, and our hope is that we will go from a consistent NCAA tournament competitor to a consistent NCAA tournament winner. And we've also asked to make sure that she successfully beats Coach Barnes every time that she plays her going forward, which has gotten a little more difficult lately. And so we appreciate the additional competition, because out of that, we can get additional outcomes of success. So we're very appreciative of that, and we're looking forward to extending Coach Turner Thorne's contract.
Thank you, Dr. Crow. Do we have any questions, comments from the board? Seeing none, I move that the committee forward to the full board for approval Arizona State University's request to extend the multiple year employment contract for Charlie Turner Thorne as the head women's basketball coach as presented in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Crow.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5. This is a request from the University of Arizona to review a new multiple year employment contract for Jed Fish as the head football coach. President Robbins will present this item.
Thank you, Chair Taylor Robeson. We're extremely excited about Jed Fish bringing his talents to Tucson to lead our football program. He completed his PhD in coaching this last year with Coach Belichick at the New England Patriots, and has the highest recommendation from he and about 8 other Hall of Fame coaches across the industry. And we couldn't be more excited about Jed Fish creating the fish tank at Arizona Stadium and at the University of Arizona.
Great. Thank you, President Robbins. Okay, I'm looking. Any regents have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move that the committee forward to the full board for approval the University of Arizona's request.
Madam Chair, I think you have a couple of comments or questions.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
I
never
missed
mind.
them. Before I proceed, Regent Ridenhour.
So thank you. I'll try to make it brief. As I said in the executive session, as an alumni of the University of Arizona, I'm tremendously excited about this hire. I think the University of Arizona has gone from a traditional approach to more of a non-traditional approach. And it kind of follows what ASU has done with their football program. I think he is
Tom, can you make me co-host?
exactly what we were looking for, in that he will change the culture of the University of Arizona. He will be involved in the community. He will bring new academics to the football program. So as an alumni, I will just thank Dave Hickey and Dr. Robbins for spending as much time as they did on this hire, thinking outside the box. I think he will be a game changer at the University of Arizona.
Thank you, Regent Ridenhour. Regent Schupman.
Just to add to what
You're on mute, Regent Schupman.
I'm having a banner day. To add to what Regent Ridenhour said, what I'm really gratified with Coach Fish and with the ASU coaches we've approved to move forward is the fact that these coaches are expected to not only win, but to be part of the university, part of the community of people that support the young men and women who we're preparing for life, not just activity on the court or on the field. It feels like we really have changed our focus over time as a system of universities. And I'm just thrilled to see Coach Fish, who, when you listen to him, he's the kind of guy I would have wanted to play for sure. He's the kind of guy that I think is going to really make a difference at the University of Arizona. So I really appreciate the efforts of Dave Hickey and Dr. Robbins and the team for finding such an outstanding individual to lead.
Thank you, Regent Schupman. Regent Manson, your hand was up and now it's not. So I just want to double check and see if you have anything you'd like to add.
I just wanted to make sure that when we forward this to the board, we forward it with the amendment that there's some additional information that we have requested to review prior to approval.
Thank you. With that, I would move that the committee forward to the full board the University of Arizona's request for a multiple year employment contract for Jed Fish as head coach, as presented in the executive summary and as supplemented by the request made by the regents in executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Robbins. Moving on to item number 6, Regent Schupman will preside over this item. Regent Schupman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a review of the ASU Capital Development Plan, and we will have Morgan Olson present this issue for us or to us. Morgan?
Yes, thank you, Regent Schupman, members of the committee. What you have in front of you here is an update on the university's capital development plan. You have a bunch of information in the report, but let me just highlight a couple of things, including that there are 2 new projects that are included in this CDP with total project costs of $83.5 million. The first one is our ASU at Mesa City Center tenant improvements, and I'll get into that more in a minute. The second one is our Bateman Physical Sciences Center improvements. That's going to be a phased project. The $83.5 million will basically be financed in a couple of pieces. $60 million will be debt financed with system revenue bonds, as is typical. The other $23.5 million in capital costs will be funded internally with tuition and amortized over an approximately 20-year term. That latter piece is part of the City Center project. The impact from the debt that I mentioned will have a projected debt ratio with all the other projects that's expected to reach its maximum in fiscal year 2022 at only 4.9%, excluding speed, and of course 5.3% if you include our speed debt. Both of these projects are going to hit multiple institutional priorities for us. It will allow us to increase student enrollment. These are fast-growing areas of teaching and learning, and we have a need to provide additional facilities to accommodate that. We believe that we'll be able to increase student retention as well as a result of these high-quality facilities, and particularly with the project, the Mesa City Center project, we think we'll also be able to grow degree production significantly, perhaps 15 to 20% is our projection at this point. And of course, also with both of these projects, it will allow us to continue to improve our research productivity and grow annual research expenditures. So I'm going to try to bring up a brief presentation here. There we go. So the first project I wanted to cover is the City of Mesa facility, City Center project. You may recall that this is a partnership with the City of Mesa where they're going to build to the university's specifications space to house our digital and sensory technology, film and media arts, user experience design, and entrepreneurial support programs. You see in front of you here the location for that facility, which, as the name would indicate, is in the city center of Mesa. On the right there, you can see where it is, just northeast of City Hall. This facility is about 118,000 square feet in total on city-owned land. And the project that's in front of you here, the board has previously approved our agreement with the City of Mesa. So this is really about providing the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, audio-visual technology, electronic security systems, and the technical infrastructure that is required to support all these programs. In previous discussions, the board has heard how we did a fair amount of benchmarking of the highest quality programs, not only across the United States, but around the world. And so that's what we're building here is a facility that will be the equal of any of those programs. As I said, this is about $23.5 million of tenant improvements to that facility. They'll be internally funded and amortized with tuition funds over about 20 years. This is how the building will look. This is a view of the southern exposure, kind of the main entrance of the facility when it's completed from a plaza that the City of Mesa is going to be developing or is developing to complement that. It will have a rather large display screen that will allow people to sit out in this plaza and the park that surrounds it and look at a wide variety of presentations. So there's a very high community engagement component to this project that the City of Mesa and the university are both very excited about. A lot of the students in these programs obviously are going to be producing things for public consumption. And what better way to do that than with this type of a facility? Another view of the facility from the southeast. On the north side, the facility will include the potential for these large roll-up doors here. So again, facilitating that community engagement and shows and events that we're talking about. The city is also preparing for us the building immediately north of there, where we're going to be activating a good portion of that with our economic development and entrepreneurial programs. So there's a very strong bent to that the city is interested in. Here are a few interior renderings of the space. As you can see, it's also intended for collaboration and is highlighting our recently named Sidney Poitier New American Film School, which we announced earlier this week. There's a lot of excitement around this, and this will be one of the three major facilities that will house that school's activities. And later on, we'll be talking to you more about the facility in Los Angeles that will join that group. There will be lots of facilities here, both for small events and for presentations, which you can see here. We will also have additional space inside where students and community artists will be able to display their works of various types, including many digital media presentations. There'll be room for people to work on projects. We will have actually a couple of theaters. This depicts one of them that will be available for all kinds of events and will allow our students the experience of seeing their finished product presented in an environment that would be typical as a professional. We do anticipate that we will have a small cafe there that will support activities both on a daily basis and around events for that facility. So today, the project is coming along very well. Looks a bit like this. This is sort of a view from the southwest, and you see the area in front that will become the plaza and park upon completion of the project. The interior also is coming along well. As you can see, there are lots of high bay areas here and production studios, and that's part of why we need to make this investment in equipment is to bring these facilities alive with the types of technology that are state of the art in the industry today. So let me switch then to the other project, which is a phased renovation of our Bateman Physical Sciences Center. Bateman is one of our largest teaching and learning facilities that facilitates primarily the physical sciences. The first phase here, we will need to go through this over time.
Morgan, I just want to add one point, if I might, Morgan.
Please.
I just want to remind Regents that, we take STEM education, as do all of our universities in the state, very, very seriously. And between our, at scale, because we think we have to be really important to the laying of the foundation for the future of Arizona's economy, we have more than 50,000 STEM majors at ASU between our online and on-campus programs. And some of our online programs will ultimately be using these facilities as we continue to expand, where they have to come together for certain laboratory activities. So I just wanted to give you some sense of all of that.
Yeah, so as Dr. Crow indicated, this is one of our core facilities, particularly for chemistry instructional labs. And our intent here is to update both the instructional labs as well as various research laboratories and supporting office spaces. We'll be starting in the D and E wings of this facility. You can see that here, the two gold sections of the building. It also gives you a little bit of a sense of the scale of the entire Bateman complex. So we'll have more work to do in future years, but our guiding principles for this project include obviously modernizing, enhancing, and increasing the number of spaces for our students to learn and to collaborate. We're going to improve all the building technology and have advanced human comfort systems. We'll improve the accessibility, and we also think that we can significantly reduce energy consumption in this building. It's a laboratory intensive building, and those are always some of your most energy intensive buildings. So anything you can do to improve the efficiency of those is money well spent. The D wing, which is sort of in the middle there, was built in 1965. So we're talking about a 55-year-old facility. Obviously, it's had some investments over time, but it's really time just to completely renew that facility for, the chemistry of today and tomorrow. The E wing is a little bit newer. That was built in 1982. As I mentioned, this project will be debt financed with system revenue bonds. The debt service for $51 million of the bonds, the majority of it will be funded by the Capital Infrastructure Fund. I think you all remember that. This is actually the final tranche of the $455 million in capacity that Arizona State University received through that program. The remaining debt service for the $9 million will be funded by tuition. So we're excited about the cost-effective impact of that. Today, this is how that building looks. It kind of looks its age, as you can see here, in a variety of ways. So we're going to do our best to completely renew this building, certainly inside and much of the exterior, a lot of the building infrastructure, et cetera. Right now, this is the footprint of a typical teaching lab in the E-wing. And it really doesn't align with what faculty want to do in terms of having students work together in group. It's hard to see each other. All the systems are dated. And so we're going to be going to a footprint that is designed along with the current pedagogy that faculty are using. And it should really improve the effectiveness of the experience that students have in these teaching laboratories. We'll do something similar in the research labs. Because of the nature of this building, we want to really focus on the teaching and learning process here for this first phase. So let me stop with that. And if there are questions about our CDP, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you, Morgan. Let me see if we've got any hands up. Chair Penley.
Thank you very much, Regent Shupman. With regard to the program in Mesa, I just want to say congratulations, President Crow and Morgan, on moving this ahead. With the naming of the film school just announced this week, the Sidney Poitier School, this is especially important, I think, to really build on what you've done in that naming opportunity. It's also an expansion of ASU's programs to citizens outside of Tempe, so I think it's excellent. As well, the Bateman facility needed renovation. It's an older building, and it's certainly consistent with what you said, President Crow, with the commitment to STEM education, something that's very important to the New Economy Initiative that we've proposed to the legislature, and the importance of really coming out of this pandemic with Arizona better prepared to be a competitor for the economy, providing jobs for our citizens. So I'm very supportive, President Crow, of what you're doing in both of these counts.
Thank you, Chair Penley. Any other comments or questions from regents? Seeing none, we will have two motions for this item. This will allow Regents Taylor, Robeson, and King to participate in the first motion and be recused from the second one. The first motion. I move the committee forward to the full board for approval the Arizona State University Capital Development Plan as described in the executive summary and excluding the Mesa City Center project. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Second motion. I move the committee forward to the full board for approval the Mesa City Center Tenant Improvement Project for inclusion in the Arizona State University Capital Development Plan as described in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'll now hand the committee back to Chair Taylor Robeson.
Thank you, Regent Shupman. Item number 7 is a review of Arizona State University's request to purchase property adjacent to the Tempe campus at 1424 South Gentilly Lane. Morgan Olson will present this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members of the committee, what you have in front of you here is a request for authorization to purchase a property. This is a strategic acquisition in our view. It does have a multifamily residential facility, 24 units on the property. But the reason that the university wants to acquire this property is because of its adjacency to our university services building and to our zero waste facility. In Exhibit B in your materials, you can see the contiguity of those properties, and I think that sort of speaks for itself. Our university services building has about 850 ASU employees working in it under normal circumstances, will again soon, we hope. And the building also sees about 200 visitors a day just because of the nature of the functions that are in that building. So it's heavily trafficked. The university already owns the majority of this block. We also have properties on the block to the north, the block to the west, and the block to the south. And so this will allow us to become more efficient in terms of what we do there. We have multiple things that we need to accommodate as the university grows. The project itself is one that we've been working on for a little while, but it really is dependent upon opportunity. You know, we're seeing in the current economic environment the opportunity to acquire some properties that are sort of in our strategic acquisition area as opportunities become available. In this case, the owners of this property decided that they were going to place the property on the market in November, and they conducted basically a competition for the property. You have the information from you here. Basically, the purchase price would be $5.1 million, and with your approval and the board's approval, we would go ahead and complete that transaction, and then we would, continue planning how we would make longer-term institutional use of that property. So, with that, I'll stop, and if there are questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you, Morgan. Regent Manson has a question.
Just a very brief question. What is your level of confidence in the appraisals?
So we did receive two appraisals, both of which are in and have been made available to board staff. They do both support the purchase price here. Came in just a little bit above the purchase price in one case and right on in the other. As you're probably aware, these types of properties are attractive in today's marketplace, and typically what will happen is that owners of properties around the university, their highest and best use is to build as tall a building, for student housing as they possibly can. And so, sometimes the reality for us is that means we need to acquire at that highest and best use type of a cost. And we use them in some cases in other ways, that are important to the university's long-term functioning. But when we find an opportunity like this one where we can purchase an adjacent property that's in our strategic potential acquisition zone, we try to jump on that. And this is one of those.
Thanks, Morgan. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to ask, during the interim before it's repurposed for ASU use, how does the university manage it? Who manages this property for you?
Yes, thank you, Regent Taylor Robeson. There is a property management company in place that has been used by the current owner. We anticipate keeping them on, for whatever period that remains before we reuse the property in a different way. It actually, in some respects, already is sort of an ASU facility. It's so close to the campus. There, as I said, 24 units, 23 of them are occupied, and 17 of those 23 already have ASU affiliates in them. Some of those leases run through the end of calendar year 2021, and I think our timeline is certainly be able to honor those. And so that's our plan, at least short term, is to allow people to continue to live there because of its attractiveness, the proximity, et cetera. And we'll manage that process in a fair way as we transition to institutional use.
Thank you. Do you know how long that transition will be? Do you have any idea how long you'll be operating it in its current form?
I can only guess at this point, but I would not expect it to exceed a couple of years at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Morgan. Do I have any other questions? Seeing none, I will move that the committee forward to the full board for approval the Arizona State University request to purchase property at 1424 South Gentilly Lane in Tempe, as described in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Agenda item 9 is a review of the Sixth Amendment to the Cash Balance Pension Plan. Mary Adelman will present this item. Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Regent Taylor Robeson. The cash balance pension plan is a defined benefit plan offered to university presidents, executive director, and president emeriti. Current participants in the plan are Presidents Chang, Crow, and Robbins, executive director Arnold, and Dr. Laddie Kaur. The amendment is to conform the plan to changes made in the university president contracts in the fall. I'm happy to answer any additional questions about the amendment.
I don't see, hold on, I gotta look in multiple places here, but I do not see any hands raised. Seeing none, I move that the committee forward to the full board for approval the Sixth Amendment to the Cash Balance Pension Plan as described in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now I have to go back. I skipped ahead, go back to item number 8. I apologize for that. Item number 8 is a review of Arizona State University's request to purchase a residential property in Hawaii. Morgan Olson will present this item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is another purchase approval item, a little bit different in nature. Let me just start by kind of framing it with the context that a number of years ago, we recruited Dr. Greg Asner, a prominent researcher who works primarily with aerial geographic sensing, and he applies that technology to a variety of things that relate to oceanography and to sustainability and to study of the environment. And as you know, the university already has a strong footprint, particularly in sustainability and the environment. He has been active for many years on the island of Hawaii, the Big Island, for those of you who may be familiar with the Hawaiian Islands. He has had facilities for some time. That's where the airplane that he uses is based. And he is expanding his research activities that are collaborative in nature, which is something that we try to encourage and facilitate. And so he has a variety of researchers with whom he collaborates. Some are from the state of Hawaii, others are from the federal government, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Stanford University, and a range of other institutions that like to utilize that site in collaboration with our ASU researchers on various studies. That is an area that doesn't have a lot of facilities. The hotels typically tend to be farther north on the west coast of that island, and so what we're proposing here is the acquisition of a residential property, a house in Captain Cook, Hawaii, for $430,000 plus transaction costs to be funded through gifts. Those gifts have already all been received. The building itself is located on the west side of the island, and it's basically right across the street from ocean access. And in that part of the ocean, there is one of the last relatively undisturbed reefs in the area. Reef degradation is a very important environmental issue these days, and that's one of the things that Dr. Asner and his collaborators are studying. The presence of onshore pollutants is a big issue right now, and he studies how they affect forestation, the reef itself, and ocean life around the reef. And so that's his focus. The facility itself is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath facility. It was built in 2004. We anticipate that we'd use this property for at least the next decade, and we do have appraisals that support the purchase price that I mentioned, and so I will yield to Dr. Crow, I know, who wants to make a comment or two, and then be happy to take any questions that the committee may have.
I just want to contextualize this a little bit. You know, we're not in the let's buy up the universe mode of thinking. What we're in is our Global Futures Laboratory is expanding rapidly, and Professor Asner is supported by 40 foundations. He is one of the most significant faculty members that we've ever had. He just won the management of the Paul Allen Coral Reef Atlas Project, which is the largest attempt to save the coral reefs on the planet. He just won. We now manage that. We now drive that forward. He has a major project with the state of Hawaii, and we have expanding staff and programs in Hawaii, even beyond Professor Asner's activity. I'll just say that this is an isolated location that's a part of a large-scale global futures laboratory focus. And I'll just remind the regents that when all is said and done, ASU has more than 650 faculty members focused on activities related to global futures, now organized under a university vice president, Peter Schlosser, who's our vice president for Global Futures Laboratory and a university professor. And these activities combined together, this is in a sense one center of 50 centers in this laboratory. This is what the scale that it's operating at. So I just want regents to get some sense that you have percolating at ASU, and there's a lot of this work at U of A and at NAU also. I'm not taking anything away from anyone else, but we are operating on a global scale, and this just happens to be a part of our operations in Hawaii. The aircraft that we manage, that we own, operating out of Hawaii, is probably the single most important scientific instrument, a leading edge instrument, which can fly over coral reefs, peer through the ocean using laser technologies, and then give you visual, unbelievably graphically detailed information on the health and well-being of those coral reefs. We've never been able to do that before. It also can do the same thing in a jungle setting and all kinds of other settings. And these are powerful technologies that we were so happy to be able to recruit Professor Asner to our programs. We also have faculty in Hawaii that are based there as a part of this laboratory. So these are outposts, if you will, that are a part of our Global Futures Laboratory, and we just happen to not have a way to accommodate people coming in to stay there.
Thank you.
I think, Morgan, did you already say that the facility is being paid for by gift resources?
President Crow, I did, and let me just add one more thing before we stand for questions, and that is that the intended use of this house is to accommodate for short-terms researchers who are collaborating on various projects and obviously may live anywhere else in the world and need a place to stay when they come there.
Thank you. I don't see any hands up, but the gift funds, are they in hand?
They are, Madam Chair.
I'll just add, there are no shortage of resources around Professor Asner.
Thank you.
So we're trying to build a new kind of bank.
It appears that way. Thank you, Dr. Crow. Seeing no questions or comments, I move that the committee forward to the full board for approval the Arizona State University request to purchase a single-family home in Captain Cook, Hawaii, as described in the executive summary. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. And this will conclude our committee meeting for the Finance, Capital, and Resource Committee. Thank you.